Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 15th of August. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which temporarily got into a new record territory, 92.22. The high still looking for an end-of-day close basically through 9200 to give us a move up to as high as 9400 by the end of next month. On the downside, initial August support 9027 and the 50-day line 89.55. Potential support points, ideally we stay within that rising trend channel, which is based around the 91.30 level. Obviously, not quite looking as though we've got peace in our time, and Putin playing various strategic games as we speak. Moving along to the DAX, and here you can see that we've actually managed to break through that rather troublesome July resistance line there, 24,400. Above that, we've been looking for 25,400 at the top of the channel, probably by the end of next month, and hoping that the support will come in and will remain near the 50-day line there at 23,900. 50-day line, I suppose, is rising, and we've also had RSI 50 rebound. So best thing probably today is to be able to end of day close at least above 24,400. The Dow is next, and here you can see that we've got the market hitting the record high level again around 45,000. Want to see basically a proper end of day close above that so that we can pencil in the top of the rising trend channel from May last year, 47,600 as soon as the end of next month. Ideally, there's no break back below the 50-day line at 43,800, even if the Russia-Ukraine talks end in tears. Worst case, we've got to test the 200-day line, 42,900, but really expecting this market to remain above the 50-day line and push through to the 47,000 plus area. Moving on to a Bitcoin, and here we can see, if I type in the right market, we can see that a bit of a bull trap through the 123 level, which we had yesterday and the day before, which is obviously slightly disappointing, and also bearish divergence. So higher high on the price, but lower RSI trace. Current view, though, is at least while we're above 115 and the floor of that channel there from back in March, and also the 50-day moving average, we're still on track to hit as high as $132,000 by perhaps now not the end of this month, but at least by the end of next month. RSI back in the 50s, which is actually in a good place if we can turn around from here. Moving on to Ethereum, which has been the star of the show this week and holding on to most of its gains. We wanted the market to stay on the right side of 4,500, and it's kind of just about done that. And looking for a fresh leg to the upside when we're ready, up to 5,500 by the end of next month, which is the second upper parallel of that rising trend channel from back in March. This stage, the worst on offer would be a rug pull towards the old December resistance around 4,100, but not really expecting that at this stage. Moving on to gold, and here the disappointment continues. I suppose the setup we have at the moment from April, it's a sort of triangle formation, should be a continuation signal, but continuation formation, but doesn't quite feel like that at the moment, and sitting rather close to the wind and close to the floor of that rising trend channel there from back in April, 3330. Obviously, we have the possibility of testing the late June support there, 3223, and that's probably what we are factoring in, however briefly, even if the market then breaks the main April resistance line, 3430, and heads up to 3800 by the end of next month. Onto the stocks, and rather more than probably would have wanted, but anyway, the more the merrier. Here we can see that Active Energy has had a good response to its battery storage news. A bit of a spike there through the recent July resistance around 0.22 and come back quite sharply. But the key here is not, well, at least that bouncing off the floor of that gap there around 0.14. We can remain above 0.14 on an end of day close basis. We could hit the top of the mildly descending price channel there at 0.33, maybe by the end of next month. The other missing ingredient, which is probably essential now, is that we have an end of day close for the RSI back above neutral 50. We haven't been above that for over a month, And the reason that we pulled back intraday may be because the RSI isn't quite in the right place. Good news today from Altona and also from China as well, in the sense that they seem to be getting even more draconian and tyrannical on rare earths exports, just to cause as much suffering and pain as they can in the West. Here you can see that we've gapped through a rising 200-day line, so it does look as though, or the expectation would be that we get up to the top of the range, 2.2 pence plus, well before the end of next month, even though there's a bit of jiggery pokery in the meantime. Ideally, we stay up above the floor of that rising trend channel, 1.4 pence in the meantime, whatever happens. On to Audioboom, which just for a change, Blinken, you missed it. It went straight through all the recent resistance. I suppose the only thing left is that peak there back in May around the 412 pence level. Want to see end of day close above that, which we're on track to do at the moment, and that would give us a target as high as £5, maybe as soon as the end of this month, given the surprise move that we've had, and also on the basis that we've got both rising 50 and 200-day lines. So we're in the run-up to a golden cross, and the run-up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part of the cycle. So £5 a minimum in coming weeks, especially while we're above the 200-day line at 377. 378 rather, on an end of day close basis. Extended RSI rebounds at near the neutral 50 level, and one just in recent days. So looking actually as good as it has done for quite some time. Obviously, with the Russia-Ukraine talks, Ferrexpo is in view, and I suppose it's a bit disappointing. Obviously, it's like a barometer of what the market expects. Here we bounced off the 50-day line there at 48 pence. Still expecting this market to fill that gap up to 62 pence, even if the shares fall back again. Slightly concerning that the 200-day line is starting to fall, but positive that we've had the 50-day moving average rebound and also an RSI rebound at neutral 50. So I suppose, on balance, we are still looking up while we're above that 50-day line. On to Hemogenyx, where after many years and much money, it looks as though things are looking slightly better, at least on a fundamental point of view. And from a technical perspective, obviously we're not having a party here at current levels, but there's a chance, I think, of managing to get up to the top of the range, £1.80, especially while there's no end of day close back below the gap there, £1.42. RSI pushed above neutral 50 as well, so this looks a little bit more credible than previous rally attempts. And the other point to note is it's Bear Trap Island reversal, so gapping down at the beginning of the month to new lows, near-term lows, and then gapping up this week. So that is a plus point. Obviously, critical rare earths are in focus at the moment, and that puts Harena in focus as well, obviously along with Cobra. Here you can see we've got this broadening triangle base. We've had multiple support points above a rising 50-day line. We've had 3 RSI 50 rebounds at and above neutral 50. So looking for 2.2 pence by the end of next month as a minimum with such a decent setup. In fact, it rather reminds me, I think, of the chart of Codal from memory. That might be it's very similar to the chart of Codal as well. So also a stock which hopefully will push higher quite quickly and do that relatively soon. A stock that hardly anyone's heard of, but is having another go now on the upside. We bounced above the rising 50-day line on ICFG. We had the rally starting with an unfilled gap to the upside, and the current position is that while we're above recent July resistance at 35 pence, looking for not only the target of 45 pence, which basically we've hit already, but also as high as 65 pence by the end of next month. So above 45 up to 65 on ICFG. Keras is next, and this also looks as though it's staging a turnaround, rising trend channel base, and very strong candles there over the last couple of weeks, opening at the close. Opening at the low, closing at the high, and then sideways, and then up against that sort of step progression tends to be one of the strongest around. Looking for 2.2 pence by the end of next month, at least while we're above resistance on the way down around 1.4 pence on an end of day close basis. Moving on to Kefi, where people are being a bit cynical, but the shares have actually done their stuff. Unfilled gap to the upside to start the week, and we followed through on that. The main resistance here, obviously, at 0.7 pence, and we're looking for that. Well, we're looking for that hopefully in coming days, especially while there's no end of day close back below 0.6. Best case would be that we head up to the revised price channel top at 0.8 pence by the end of next month. But the key here is really holding above 0.6. The other point to note is that we've had a double RSI 50 rebound, so shares, once any profit takings are out of the way, looking rather better than they have for quite some time. Moving on to Pantheon, which I wasn't expecting to look at, but we've got an uptrend line in the RSI window, rising 50-day line, looking for the top of the channel there, 33 pence, by the end of this month, while we're above the 50-day line at 24 pence. Again, double RSI 50 rebound, so leading indicator on the upside from last week, and then also active this week too. On to Pantheon, Roadside Real Estate, where one or two people are asking what the target is here. And in fact, the target here is what it has been for quite some time, which is at the top of that rising trend channel from September 23. That's currently running up towards the 64 pence area, and we're looking for that well before the end of next month, possibly by the end of this month, while we're above the 50-day moving average at 48 pence. Moving on to the last few. First one is SolGold. I think one or two people are very excited at the moment. Good bull flag breakout. We obviously hit our previous target there around 11.5 pence. Above that, we've been looking for up to 18 pence by the end of next month. Ideally, that would be even sooner. Hopefully, we can even get there by the end of this month, given how strong the news today was from the company, from memory. Exceptional near surface intercepts at Tandayama. So what else do you want in life? But the upside here, especially favoured, if we can get a decent weekly close above recent resistance at 14 pence. Solvonis is next, and the shares rising well after the recent interview I did with the company. I think it was earlier this week. Still looking for 0.45 by as soon as the end of this month, while we're on the right side of 0.3. Another RSI 50 rebound as well. So we've had about 5 in the last couple of months. So pretty impressive. Surface Transforms is back as well. And here, if I can get the right market, we've got a situation where we've revived the initial April to June rally. We've hit the second target there at around 1.8 pence, right on the nose. That was the high of the day, about 1.82. End of day close above 1.8. And we're looking for a best case scenario target as high as 2.75 pence by the end of next month. And the 2.75 pence target comes from the top of that gap there from April 2024. Finishing off with the stock, which I don't think anyone looks at, which is Tavistock Investments, and here rising 50 and 200-day lines, breaking out of that near-term range. Initial target here, 6.4 pence. Above that, it's the upper parallel of that rising trend channel that we're looking for, and that would be as high as 9 pence by the end of next month, while we're on the right side of 5 pence. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.